بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا صدق الله العظيم. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created human beings, He created us to be with others and to be social and to have relationships. That even Adam alayhi salam, he was given a wife. That he was not meant to be on this earth by himself. He was not created to just be there by himself. But rather Adam and Hawa were created, both of them together. Both of them made that mistake and ate from the tree together. And both of them sought Allah's forgiveness from that mistake together. And both of them went to earth together. The Prophet ﷺ, he even told us. And the Prophet ﷺ, he was someone who spent time in isolation. We know the story of revelation. When the Prophet ﷺ received his first revelation, it was after a period of months where he would go out of the city and spend time in isolation. And so isolation was part of his life, but at the same time, he is the one who said that a person who is with the people, that the believer who is with the people is better than the believer that is by themselves. And so we are created to be social. We are created to be with others. And in the world that we live in today, people are more lonely because most of our relationships, or many of our relationships, they happen online or on our phones, on our devices, on our WhatsApp groups, where we forward images and pictures, and we're not able to go deeply into our relationships. There's actually even a phenomenon called a parasocial relationship. And what that means is a relationship that someone forms with a media personality. Growing up, my mother, she liked watching Oprah. Maybe many of you here, you might have watched Oprah. You watched so much Oprah that people felt like, Oprah is my best friend. I know everything about Oprah. I know what she's going to say before she says it. Today it's to a degree where every single interest, there's a celebrity or an influencer for that interest. And so we develop these one-way relationships. It's a one-way relationship. When in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created us to form two-way relationships. Where both sides are giving and receiving. It's not one way. And so it's important for us to realize the reality that we live in, and then to combat that reality by taking the time to have strong relationships with not only our family members, but with friends as well. And that is why they say that you are the average of your 5 closest friends. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. As an adult or as a child, you are the average of your 5 closest friends. And that reminds me of what the Prophet ﷺ, he told us hundreds of years ago. Al-mar'u ala dini khalil. That a person, any person, he didn't say shab, he didn't say youth. He said any person, al-mar', any person is on the way, the deen. The deen doesn't just mean religion, how we separate life into this and that. No, the way. A person is on the way of their Khalil, of their closest, intimate friend. And a Khalil is different from other kinds of friends. Khalil was the title given to Ibrahim. Ibrahim wasn't just Sadiqullah, the friend of Allah. He was the Khalil of Allah. The Khalil of Allah. But the relationship that Ibrahim had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he was not just any friend of Allah, but rather he was a close friend. In English, when we say friend, it could mean many different things. It could mean the person you met once. It could be the person who you haven't met, but you added them as a Facebook friend. Right? There's so many different kinds of friends. They actually categorize them into 7 different levels. We don't need to go into the levels, but you can imagine when someone says friend, they could mean any of those things. But a Khalil is the closest one. The Khalil is the one who you are closest with, who knows who you confide in, your secrets, the things that you have personal questions about, your biggest doubts or your biggest challenges or your biggest difficulties, your biggest wins. You share it with that person who you trust. That is your Khalil. And there will be people on the day of judgment, they will regret the Khalil that they chose, as I recited. That there will be people on the day of judgment, they will say, Ya waylata, laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. I wish I never took that person as my closest friend. That their greatest regret is that they chose the wrong friend. Because that friend led them on a path which was away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we must look at, all of us, we must look at who are the people who we call our close friends. Not just general friends, but who are the people who we call our close friends. And for many of us, maybe half of us have moved here in the last 5 years. Many of us, we left friends, we left family to come here for work or for other reasons. And so those relationships that we had built, maybe we lost them over time. It's important for us to have that relationship. It's important for us, if we need to rekindle, then we should rekindle. That take the 30 minutes instead of going on Netflix or whatever, take those 30 minutes to call somebody. To call somebody and have that deeper discussion and rekindle that relationship, because there should be those people in your life who are Khalil. The problem now isn't who do I choose to be my Khalil. The problem is, do I even have a Khalil? The problem is, do I even have a close friend? Do I even have that person in my life who I can trust with everything? Someone besides my spouse, someone besides a family member. Maybe one of them is a family member, fine. But someone beyond that as well. And so it's important for us to build those relationships, especially at a time when people are more lonely than ever. And so to make that time, if someone calls you, my teacher used to tell me, there should be those people in your life who, when they call, you make sure you pick up. That whatever it is you're doing, you pick up. You need that person in your life. Who is that person? Who are those 2 or 3 people in your life? Even the research, it shows that the importance is not the quantity. Oh, mashallah, he has 5,000 Facebook friends. He has so many Facebook friends. He can't even actually have more than that. He's reached the max limit of Facebook friends. But the importance is not the quantity. In the stories of Al-Kahf, Surah Al-Kahf, there is one person who is arrogant over the other in the story of the man with 2 gardens. And he says, not only do I have this wealth, وَأَنَا أَعَزُّ مِنْكَ نَفَرًا, I have more people than you. Nafar. Nafar is just people. I have people. I have people. Not even close friends, I just have people. And that was a point of arrogance for him. And he loses his wealth and he loses everything. And where are those people? Just as they came, they went, they left. So what you need is that Khalil, you need that quality relationship. not just quantity. And so let's take that time to appreciate who is our closest friend. And let's reconnect with that person if we need to. And let's find people who not only better us professionally or personally, but they better us spiritually. Not just not just because they're an imam or a preacher or something like that. Oh, that's the spiritual person. It can be any average person, any normal person, everyday person who reminds you of Allah in ways that you could not imagine, who brings you closer to Allah based just on their conversation, based on maybe the priority that they give to their salah. That it's time to pray and they're immediately up and they pray, and that is what makes them a great close friend. Maybe they don't know the latest scores in football or the latest this and that, but they have this one thing about them: I have to keep this person close because they're a good influence on me. And your children are watching. Your children are watching the friends that you keep. The greatest indicator of what their friends will be and the types of relationships that they will have is the types of relationships that you have and the friendships that you have in your connection with them. If you have a good, positive connection with your children, then they're more likely to model your behavior. They're more likely to do what you do. If you have a positive, nothing is guaranteed, but if you have a positive relationship, if we look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ and the way he treated people around him, he would not default towards punishment or towards threats. He would go towards good character and positive relationship and giving attention when it is needed, where it is deserved. So if we want our children to have those good friendships, and I'll talk about that in my second khutbah, is moving to our youth and the importance of friendships in youth. That'll be the second khutbah. But first and foremost, it has to start with us. That what are the friendships that we prioritize? What are the things which we prioritize? Because inevitably that trickles into the rest of our family. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to find those close friends who bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who can be those people that on the day of judgment, they will bear witness for us and we will bear witness for them. That they will testify for us and we will testify for them. That may we be with those people on the shade, under the shade of Allah's throne. For one of the groups of people, among those people who suffered great difficulty and great challenge, one group of people will be those who loved each other for the sake of Allah, who came together for the sake of Allah. They will receive the shade just for that reason. Just for that reason. They came together for the sake of Allah. They receive Allah's shade. May Allah grant us such a friend and help us to maintain such a friendship in our lives. آمين يا رب العالمين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. In this second part of my khutbah, I would like to talk about the friendships of the young people and how we as parents or adults, we can facilitate that. Maybe we're not a parent. Maybe you are an older brother. Maybe you are an older sister. Maybe you are a cousin. Maybe you are a friend of the family. How can you help to facilitate friendships amongst the next generation of Muslims? It's important to do that. They looked at children's influences. What are the influences on American children today? And we can't say, well, we have Muslim children. No. You have American children. Muslim American children. So they looked at the child's influences. And they said that until the age of 5, the main influence in a child's life is the parents. Until the age of 5. After that, once they start school more regularly, the teacher takes a big chunk of that influence. Because the teacher is spending how many more hours in the day than maybe you spend? The teacher is spending with them. So of course, it would change. And then as the child goes through elementary school, ends around age 10, pre-adolescence. That is when slowly, each year, of course, not all at once, but each year, there's a new chunk of influence that expands and grows. Not the parent, not the teacher, but the friends. And when I read that study, it reminded me of what Ali radiallahu anhu he said. He said that for the first 7 years, play with your child. For the next 7 years, teach your child. And for the time after that, after they are 14, be a companion for your kid. And we go back to that because that is now that time of lecturing and teaching over every small thing has wrapped up. Now it's more of a companion. Like the Prophet ﷺ, he had companions, Sahaba. The same word is used. Be their companion. And that is the influence. The influence goes to friends. And so it's important that we cannot tell our child, be friends with this person. You can try. But what's more important is how do you facilitate that? How do you make it happen? How do you influence positively in a positive way to make sure that your children has that Khalil, that close friend that brings them closer to Islam? That is something which is part of your responsibility, not just to fulfill the basic requirement of raising them Muslim, but to make sure that you set them up for success in their religion. I'll be honest about my own masjid education. We used to go to the masjid every single Sunday, at least. And we also used to go to Quran classes and throughout the week. But at the very minimum, we used to go on Sundays. And my mom would not let us leave for any reason. Didn't matter who invited us, who was having biryani, who was having maluba, whatever it was, you have to go to Sunday school. Even if we were crying, even if we didn't feel like it, even if there was other things, there was just this rule, you have to go to Sunday school. How many things do I actually remember from my Sunday school? Not too much. That's the honest truth. But the relationships I built in that masjid, the friends that I made in that masjid, they influenced the rest of my life. I learned not just from them, but I learned from their parents. I learned from going to their homes, how different Muslim families were. I felt comfortable in my own skin. There was a funny situation. I was debating whether I should share this with everyone. But I think it's an interesting situation. I moved schools in the 7th grade. And when you're in 7th grade, it's a time of low self-esteem. It's a time of you don't know who you are. You just want to do what everyone else is doing. You really want to fit in. You want to be like everyone else. Right? Everyone has the same haircut in 6th grade, 7th grade. Everyone has the same haircut. Why are you getting that haircut? Oh, well, my friend has that haircut. Right? There's a time of everyone wants to fit in. And I was new. So I had left all my previous friends at my school where there was no Muslims to this new school where there were a few more Muslims. And alhamdulillah, I had one friend from before because I had grown up with that friend in the masjid. So I had spent so much time with that friend in the masjid and going to masjid activities and doing things like that. So one of our first projects in our health class, everyone knows health class is just health class, right? And we had to choose our best friend and make a presentation about our best friend. So I made my presentation about him. And another person who had gone to school, who was not Muslim, also made a presentation about the same friend. So now this friend has two people giving presentations about him. And he has to choose, who does he choose, me or the other guy? I'm the new kid. And he made the presentation about me. And I'll never forget that. Because the reason was Islam. The reason was that we were friends based on Islam. And 15 years later, we made a company together. SubhanAllah. Right? It was about teaching people Arabic. We did that together because of that friendship that we had made in the masjid. SubhanAllah. And we supported each other through middle school and high school, through the challenges that come, everyone needs someone in their life like that, where the parents are not there, where, where parents cannot see what's going on. You need someone who keeps you to Islam, who keeps you to Islam, who serves as a reminder when there are challenges and there are difficulties. So, how did that happen? It didn't just happen, but it happened because our parents made sure that the masjid was a priority for us. That of all the other things that could be happening, the masjid was the priority. And yes, maybe we weren't always paying attention in class, but the relationships that we built, they lasted us till this day. Even if we're thousands of miles away, we're in communication all the time. So it's important for us, my brothers and sisters, to facilitate these friendships amongst the youth. So what are some ways in which we can do that? And I'm not saying this to judge anyone, but it's important to be said that if you have some time after Jumu'ah, right? Don't be the person who is just checking the box of Jumu'ah. Jumu'ah means to gather. Jumu'ah means to gather. I understand if you have work, you have responsibilities, you have to go, that's fine. But when you, for example, when the announcements are going on and you're rushing to leave every single week, right? Your kids see that. They say, okay, we're here to fulfill the requirement. The announcements and all, that's all right. That's not a big deal. We're here to fulfill the requirement. I'm not judging you. If you leave, you have to go. It's fine. I'm not judging you for that. But I'm saying, are there those times where you say, my kids are with me today, it's the day off. Let's stay, let's see if we can meet some Muslim friends of ours. Let's take 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes, just to say salam, to listen to some of the announcements, to show that the community is important. We're not just here to check the box. We're here to gather together. We're here to build community, especially in a situation where you don't live in a Muslim country. You don't live in a Muslim community where everyone is Muslim. Many of your kids, they're the only Muslim at school. They complain to me about that. I'm the only Muslim in school. I can't do Jumu'ah with my friends because I'm the only Muslim in school. So how can you take the time you're already at the masjid, stay a little more? Number 2, if you're able, bring your kids to the youth Jumu'ah at 3:45. That's for the youth. If you're able, I know it's an awkward time before 5, but if you are able, let's make that happen. One parent came to me and said he's ready to start maybe a shuttle that could take kids from the schools to the masjid for Jumu'ah after school. But we just need more parents to make sure that we can make that happen. Another thing, get involved with the community. See what the activities are. Go on the newsletter, go on the website, talk to us. What are the activities you can do? And try to get involved. There was a beautiful story of at our Sunday school. The class was full, and the wait list had 10 kids last year. And one of the parents said, I will teach the class. One of the parents said, I will teach the class. I know you don't have teachers. I will teach the class because I want to make sure my child has this activity. I want to make sure my child has this. Another parent said, I will recruit the number of people you need to get to your minimum limit so that you can have a class. So how can you go beyond just the minimum to try and make sure that you're facilitating good relationships for your kids? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to do that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to facilitate good friendships, good close Muslim friends for our kids so that they can save their iman at a time when their iman is under pressure, at a time when their iman is challenged, at a time when they see how they are represented and they feel down. When they meet other Muslims, it raises their iman. It's important. So we must take time, even if we have to drive a little further, even if we have to drive at an inconvenient time. I know a lot of people, they do online Quran classes. They're great, convenient. But what are the relationships that are being built with someone thousands of miles away? Just think about that. Because the Quran is not just for the Quran, it's for the environment. It's for your local masjid. It's for that connection. Right? You have to do what's best for you and your family, but just consider every single aspect of it. Don't just consider that one result. So it's important that we do that, inshallah ta'ala. And so in order to facilitate this as a community, There's a few things that we're doing. Number one, we're delaying our Sunday school time so that we can all pray Dhuhr together. Because we used to end before Dhuhr, and some people would pray, some people would not. But we like to pray together, and then people get to linger, people get to talk, discuss. Another thing we're doing is we're doing a parenting program during Sunday school. So many of you whose kids go to the Sunday school, we're going to do a parenting program. The goal is we can bring some food, we can eat together, and we can learn about parenting together, raising Muslim children in this environment together. And thirdly, we're doing a family night, a MAPS family night, starting tonight, inshallah, where we'll have food and we'll also have a reminder from one of our imams and shuyukh. So we will have a reminder as well as the potluck, inshallah, starting tonight, inshallah, our first family night. So please take that opportunity to come and to be involved and to create those friendships that you need in order to maintain your Islam. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He protects us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He fulfills our needs. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps our brothers and sisters all over the world. Those that may be suffering or oppressed, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alleviate their suffering and oppression. And especially our brothers and sisters in Pakistan, where 30 million people are displaced. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uplift them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them better. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise their ranks in Jannah. Those that have passed away, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to come to their aid as well. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم ولذكر الله تعالى أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقم الصلاة